Tonight, I feel like I'm standing in a room full of women who know what it's like to love deep, to trust hard, and to still end up carrying the weight of a broken heart. But sis, I came to tell you heartbreak isn't the end of your story. Oh no. It's just the beginning of a new chapter God's about to write through you. When a man hurts you, the enemy wants you to crumble, to question your worth, to fold into bitterness. But I believe God sent me here to tell you something different. Confuse him. Not with anger, not with revenge. Confuse him with your healing. Confuse him with your joy. Confuse him with your peace that makes no sense. Because when you rise instead of fall, you don't just confuse him, you glorify the God who's been holding you all along. So if you're ready, let's talk about how to move with power, how to rise with dignity, and how to confuse every spirit that thought you would stay broken. Healing loudly is not about making noise for attention. It's about making noise in the spirit. It's about letting the world see that you are not going to hide your healing like it's something shameful. You're not going to tuck your tears away behind closed doors and pretend like nothing happened. Healing loudly is a declaration. It's telling yourself and everybody around you that what tried to break you will not silence you. You don't have to make a public announcement about your pain, but your progress ought to be visible. Your growth should shine so brightly that people can help but notice that something inside of you has shifted. When a man hurts you, when he betrays your love, when he mishandles your heart, the temptation is to go bitter, to close your heart like a locked door, to become cold and calculated, to spit venom with your words and let resentment wrap itself around your spirit like a snake. That's the easy route. That's the default setting when you're wounded. But you are not a woman who was created to live on default. You are a woman who was designed to live by divine intention. You have too much destiny tied up in your name to let bitterness build a home inside you. Healing loudly means waking up every day and choosing wholeness over hatred. It means speaking life over yourself even when the voices in your head want to replay what he did to you. It means refusing to let what someone else did contaminate what God is trying to do in you. Every time you forgive when you have every right to stay mad, you're healing loudly. Every time you decide to trust God more than your pain, you're healing loudly. Every time you put one foot in front of the other and keep building, keep believing, keep becoming, you are healing loudly. You heal loudly when you set boundaries without bitterness. You don't have to cuss him out or drag his name through the mud. Your silence, your absence, your peace will say everything that needs to be said. Healing loudly looks like protecting your energy. It looks like deciding that your peace is too expensive to be disrupted by someone who didn't know how to handle you. It looks like declining invitations to arguments, refusing to attend pity parties, and RSVPing yes to your own growth. Some people will misunderstand your healing. They'll think you're pretending. They'll think you're faking. They'll wonder why you're smiling when you should still be crying. Let them wonder. Confusion is part of the process. Healing loudly isn't for them anyway, it's for you. It's for the little girl inside of you who thought love was supposed to hurt. It's for the woman you're becoming who knows that real love doesn't cut you to pieces. It's for the future generations who will watch how you responded to betrayal and learn how to rise. Healing loudly does not require an audience. You don't need the approval of the person who hurt you to start healing. You don't need closure from someone who doesn't even have closure with themselves. Healing is not a group project. Healing is between you and God. It's an act of rebellion against every lie the enemy told you about your worth. It's a sacred, personal, powerful journey that just so happens to shine so brightly it spills out for the world to see. Sometimes healing loudly looks like showing up Showing up when you don't feel like it, showing up when you're still hurting, showing up when the weight is heavy, but you know that you are heavier. Sometimes healing loudly looks like standing in rooms where people knew you when you were broken and letting them see that you're no longer there. It's not about proving a point. It's about embodying the proof that healing is possible. The enemy wanted you to stay stuck. He wanted you to turn your hurt into a habit. He wanted you to repeat the cycles of pain, but healing loudly interrupts the cycle. Healing loudly says, it stops with me. Healing loudly becomes your war cry, your anthem, your banner that you wave over every part of your life that used to be bruised and broken. It says to every spirit of rejection, abandonment, betrayal, and heartbreak, you don't live here anymore. You're not going to shrink to make people comfortable with your healing. You're not going to apologize for moving forward. You're not going to dim your light because it blinds the ones who left you in darkness. Healing loudly gives you permission to take up space again, the space you forgot was yours because of what they did to you. Healing loudly gives you permission to laugh again without guilt, to love again without fear, to hope again without hesitation. You will know you are healing loudly when you stop needing revenge to feel complete. When you stop checking their social media, hoping to see if they're hurting too. When you stop replaying the what ifs and start dreaming about the what's next. Healing loudly is walking away without slamming the door. It's letting go without needing them to know you let go. It's choosing peace so fiercely that chaos has no choice but to leave your life. And healing loudly isn't just about your ex. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your identity. It's about remembering who you were before the heartbreak and who you were always meant to become after it. It's about realizing that pain doesn't get the final say, purpose does. It's about realizing that you didn't lose anything that God can't replace with better. It's about realizing that you don't have to beg for love that's real. You don't have to chase after someone who couldn't see your worth. Real love, God-ordained love, will find you healing, not hiding. Healing loudly means being brave enough to feel every feeling, but wise enough not to let every feeling have the microphone. It's letting yourself grieve what was lost without losing yourself in grief. It's refusing to let the wound become your identity. It's living so fully, so freely that the ones who hurt you can't recognize the woman they tried to break. It's about becoming so whole that your healing speaks louder than your hurt ever could. Staying unshaken doesn't mean you don't feel the blow. It doesn't mean you don't sit in your room some nights and wonder how someone could mishandle a heart that only wanted to love them. Staying unshaken means that even though the earthquake of betrayal hit your life, you refuse to let it destroy the foundation of who you are. It means the tears may fall, but they won't wash away your worth. The pain may speak, but it won't silence your power. Staying unshaken is a mindset, a posture of the heart that says, I can bend, but I won't break. When someone hurts you, especially someone you let close enough to know your fears, your dreams, your soul, the easiest thing to do is to give that hurt a seat at your table, to let it feast on your confidence, to let it rearrange how you see yourself. But staying unshaken means you deny pain the permission to redefine you. You let yourself process it, you honor the feelings, but you don't let them make a home inside your spirit. You don't hand the keys of your future to someone who fumbled your past. Staying unshaken means you stay rooted in the truth of who you are, even when your emotions try to tell you otherwise. Staying unavailable is the part that confuses the very spirit that tried to break you. It's the refusal to make yourself emotionally accessible to old wounds dressed in new apologies. It's guarding your peace like it's the most sacred treasure in your life, because it is. Being unavailable doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you're bitter. It means you have realized that not everyone deserves access to you just because they realize too late how rare you are. It means you have stopped handing out VIP passes to people who treated you like general admission. When you stay unavailable, you protect your healing from contamination. You refuse to let temporary people talk you out of permanent progress. You recognize that the same spirit that hurt you will often try to circle back around when it sees you standing stronger. Staying unavailable is a form of spiritual warfare. It's telling the enemy, you had your chance to break me. Now you have to watch me thrive without you. It's letting your no be so strong that it echoes through every opportunity, every relationship, every conversation that doesn't honor your new standard. There's a temptation to prove to the person who hurt you that you're better without them, to post the pictures, to flaunt the glow up, to make them regret losing you. But staying unshaken and unavailable means you realize you don't have anything to prove. You're not healing for their reaction. You're healing for your resurrection. Your worth is not a show you put on for spectators. It's a crown you wear for yourself. Staying unshaken means you move in silence and let your progress speak volumes. Staying unavailable means you refuse to answer the doors that heartbreak once used to enter your life. You confuse the enemy when you don't react the way he expects, when you don't spiral into revenge, when you don't trade your heart for hardness, when you don't start playing games to win a battle that was never yours to fight. You confuse the spirit of rejection when you don't internalize it. You confuse the spirit of abandonment when you don't chase after the one who left. You confuse the spirit of betrayal when you decide to trust again, not immediately with people, but always with God. Staying unshaken, staying unavailable is about recognizing that your spirit is not for sale, not for compromise, not for convenience. You stay unshaken when you realize that your worth didn't drop just because someone failed to recognize it. Your value is not based on external validation. It's rooted in divine affirmation. Staying unshaken means you rise in strength, even while you're still bleeding. It means you understand that healing is not the absence of pain, but the presence of peace in the middle of it. You become a woman who walks through fire and doesn't even smell like smoke. You become a woman whose silence is stronger than the enemy's noise. You become a woman who holds her head high, not because she's pretending, but because she's protecting. Staying unavailable is an act of self-love. It's knowing your spirit is too expensive for cheap conversations. Your dreams are too big for small-minded partnerships. Your destiny is too great to be entangled with anyone who treats you like an option. You stop explaining your standards to people who were never qualified to meet them. You stop lowering the bar just because someone got tired of reaching. And you stop accepting crumbs and start commanding tables. Unavailability isn't about being hard-hearted, it's about being wholehearted. It's about preserving the parts of you that are sacred until the one who sent, not just someone who stumbled upon you, comes correct. The beauty of staying unshaken is that you create an environment where only those who can match your spirit can enter. You are no longer impressed by shallow apologies. You are no longer moved by inconsistent affection. You are no longer deceived by words that are not backed by action. You become a woman who listens with discernment, who loves with wisdom, who moves with strategy. You don't just react anymore, you respond, and sometimes your response is no response at all. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't plead for closure. You realize that peace is your closure, growth is your closure, new beginnings are your closure. Staying unshaken teaches you that not every departure is a loss. Some exits are actually expansions. Staying unavailable teaches you that not everyone who wants you deserves you. Some people are lessons wrapped in temptation. Some people are distractions wrapped in this. Some people are delays wrapped in familiarity. When you stay unshaken, you stay aligned with your assignment. When you stay unavailable, you stay aligned with your anointing. You realize that heartbreak was not your destination. It was your detour to something greater. You realize that God will often remove who you thought you needed to make room for who you were destined to become. You realize that healing is not about forgetting the hurt. It's about remembering your power. The woman who stays unshaken is dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. The woman who stays unavailable to foolishness is a weapon in the hands of God. She is a threat to every generational curse that thought it would continue. She is a breaker of cycles. She is a carrier of light. She is the living proof that hurt doesn't have the final word. Hope does. She walks in rooms and shifts atmosphere. She speaks and demons tremble. She smiles and heaven rejoices. You don't have to perform for acceptance anymore. You don't have to compromise for love anymore. You don't have to lose yourself trying to hold on to someone who was never meant to carry you. Staying unshaken, staying unavailable is choosing you, choosing your peace, choosing your destiny, choosing your future over your past. It's realizing that the very thing that tried to destroy you actually delivered you into a deeper level of discernment, strength, and grace. You're not being hard, you're being healed. You're not being cold, you're being called higher. You're not being distant, you're being delivered. Staying unshaken, staying unavailable is about understanding that your life, your love, your light are too precious to be given away to anyone who doesn't know what to do with them. It's about standing so firmly in who you are that the ground around you has no choice but to respect it. There's a beauty in elevation that most people fail to understand. It's not just about growing taller or more successful. It's about growing stronger emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. It's about moving so far beyond the pain that it's almost like the world is in a different dimension, and those who hurt you are still trying to catch up. Elevating so high means you no longer give the same weight to what people say about you or the mistakes they've made with you. You reach a place where your peace, your purpose, and your potential are no longer up for debate. You elevate to a level where apologies from the past don't have to be accepted because your life has already proven that you're worth so much more than what you were once given. When someone hurts you, there's a temptation to lower yourself to their level, to meet them where they are, to fight back and prove them wrong. But elevation doesn't require a battle. It simply requires you to rise. When you rise, you stop being accessible to the people who tried to hold you down. You stop letting the ones who hurt you have space in your life, your mind, and your heart. Elevation is not about being arrogant. It's about understanding that the same energy it takes to drag yourself back down into drama and disappointment is the same energy that could push you higher into greatness. You realize that the best way to get over what they did is to get over them. You elevate so high that their apologies, their regrets, their intentions, they had to catch a flight to reach you, and by the time they get there, you've already moved on. Elevation requires a level of focus that many people don't have. You cannot be distracted by the people who once saw you as a stepping stone. You cannot be distracted by those who only want to come back into your life when they see you thriving. You know that elevation is about finding purpose in the pain and using it to fuel your ascent. Every setback becomes a setup for a major comeback. Every door that was closed was just creating space for the right doors to open. Elevation isn't about escaping your past. It's about transcending it. You rise above the insults, the rejections, the betrayals, and the lies. You rise above the lies the enemy told you about your worth. You rise above the need for validation because you've learned that your value was never tied to anyone's opinion of you. When you elevate, you stop chasing after people who can't see your value. You stop begging for the love that's not coming. You stop giving your energy to people who are still stuck in the mindset of what you used to be, not who you've become. You rise because you realize that you were never meant to stay in the place of hurt. You rise because you understand that your story is bigger than any chapter of pain you've lived through. You rise because you refuse to let what broke you define you. Instead, you let it build you. Elevation is not about being a different person. It's about becoming the version of yourself you were always meant to be. It's about shedding the layers of doubt, fear, and insecurity that others tried to plant in you. It's about realizing that your dreams are too big to stay where people can reach you with negativity. Elevation is about expanding into your potential, letting go of what no longer serves you, and embracing the power of who you are becoming. As you elevate, you create distance between your pain and your future, and you make room for the life you deserve to step into. When you elevate, the need to prove yourself diminishes. You don't need to prove that you're worthy of love, respect, or success. You don't need to prove that you are enough. You've already proven that to yourself. You elevate so high that your accomplishments, your growth, and your peace speak for themselves. People start to notice your elevation, not because you're shouting about it, but because they can see it in your actions, your decisions, and the way you carry yourself. They see the way you walk with confidence, not arrogance, because your peace is no longer dependent on anyone else's approval. You have elevated past the need for validation because you realize that your worth is intrinsic. It can't be taken from you by someone else's actions. Elevation isn't always a smooth ride. It requires resilience. It requires getting back up when life knocks you down. It requires patience because sometimes you won't see the results of your efforts right away. But as you rise, you build a strength that cannot be shaken. You develop a fortitude that protects you from falling back into old habits, old patterns, and old cycles. You understand that the road to elevation is not a straight path, but every twist and turn is preparing you for what's ahead. The higher you rise, the more you understand that elevation is not just about where you go, it's about who you become in the process. There are people who will try to pull you down when they see you rising. They will talk about you. They will try to make you feel guilty for leaving them behind. They will question why you've changed, why you don't respond to them the same way. But elevation requires a certain level of detachment. You don't owe them an explanation for your growth. You don't owe them your time, your energy, or your heart if they didn't honor it when they had it. Elevation means recognizing that not everyone is meant to go with you to the next level. Some people's roles in your life are seasonal, and it's okay to let them go when the season shifts. You don't have to apologize for outgrowing people who tried to keep you small. You don't have to shrink to make them feel comfortable with your success. As you elevate, you begin to realize that your journey is not just about you. Your elevation is meant to inspire those around you. It's meant to show others that it's possible to rise no matter how many times you've been knocked down. It's meant to show others that healing is possible, that forgiveness is possible, and that dreams can still come true even when you've been broken. Your elevation becomes a testimony, a beacon of hope for others who may be where you once were. You become proof that it's possible to break free from your past, to forgive what you need to forgive, to heal from the hurts that tried to define you, and to rise higher than you ever thought possible. Elevation also gives you perspective. It allows you to see things more clearly. It allows you to see where you've been and appreciate how far you've come. It gives you a deep sense of gratitude for the battles you fought because you know they shaped you into the person you are today. You see the value in the struggles because they taught you resilience. You see the value in the heartbreak because it taught you self-love. Elevation gives you the wisdom to look back with gratitude, not regret. It teaches you that everything you went through had a purpose, even the painful moments. You elevate so high that the opinions of those who tried to hold you back no longer matter. Their words lose their power over you. Their negativity doesn't affect you anymore. You've risen above the noise, above the drama, above the chaos. You've created a space where peace reigns. When you elevate, you stop letting other people's issues become your problems. You stop letting other people's insecurities affect how you see yourself. Elevation is about standing firm in who you are and never apologizing for it. Um, as you continue to rise, you come to a point where you no longer look back. Not because you're bitter or resentful, but because you've learned that you can't move forward by keeping one foot in the past. You elevate because you know that your future is too bright to stay in a place that doesn't honor your light. You elevate because you understand that your purpose is too big to stay in places where you're not valued, seen, or appreciated. The beautiful thing about elevation is that it not only transforms your life, but it transforms the lives of those around you. As you rise, you make room for others to rise with you. You create a ripple effect that encourages others to pursue their own greatness. You elevate so high that your life becomes a reflection of what's possible for anyone who dares to believe in themselves. You elevate so high that the past, the pain, and the people who hurt you are nothing but a distant memory, far below you. You rise to a place where nothing can hold you down. You rise to a place where your success, your peace, and your happiness have no limits.